Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Shutter Stories Uncensored. I'm Mark, your host, and this episode we're going to talk about a couple serious stories I covered. Usually I only cover one, and then something kind of interesting to go with that one to start with. But this episode I'm going to talk about two big stories I covered. Let's go with the less of the two. The fire in 1991, the Ceres Unified School District building um, caught fire. My understanding it was started in the boiler room, and within 40 minutes, or so, it devastated the structure, and it was non-salvageable. Once the fire was put out, they would have to demolish what was left and rebuild, and they would rebuild on the site. But in 1991, scanner call went out about a fire at the Ceres Unified School District office, and at the Ceres Courier, uh, where I worked, it was just maybe 5 minutes by car to get there, and I did. I got there right away and started taking photos of the firefighters trying to save the structure. Got a lot of good photos for the paper, and but I want to pause here for a second. I just want to give you a little bit of history on that building. The building was built originally in 1911, and the owner of the land, George Whitmore, donated the land to the city so they could build the school there. And what was first school built on that site where the building was originally, before it became the Ceres Unified School District, it was Whitmore School, named after George Whitmore, the founding one of the original founders of the area. And he donated the property so they could build the school. And while with all that, they decided to name the school after him. And that operated as a school, an elementary school for the children until in 1970 they decided to convert it from a school into the Ceres Unified School District office, and that's where it sat until 1991, and the whole thing ended, and they had to rebuild a new structure. No lives, no one was injured, no lives were lost. The Ceres Fire Department did a great job putting out the fire, and they couldn't save the building, but they did. After the fire was put out, crews were able to come in, and what was decided to be salvaged was all the brick. And the brick was salvaged, and they would reuse that later to build a wall, a low wall where they're going to mount the name of the building, the Ceres Unified School District. A lot of people were upset and saddened that 80-year-old structure couldn't have been saved, but they did their best. The Ceres Fire Department did their best to save it, but they just couldn't. The fire was too destructive. And I did get some photos that ran. We ran a lot of photos in the next edition. Now, back when I went to Ceres High School from 1975 to 1979, when I graduated, I would go with my buddy Mark Watley to the Ceres Unified School District office, because the media center was there, where they would, if you were on the school paper or with the school yearbook, you would work out of that building. And if you were taking photos, if you were a photographer for the school paper or the yearbook, you would bring your film there to process it. You would process it yourself. You were taught how, and you would do it. And I thought that was very interesting. So when I had a chance, I would go with Mark to it and watch him do his thing. That was fun. I learned a lot. Maybe that's where the bug bit me, and I would, years after graduating high school at Sirius High School, I um, worked my way into the field of photojournalism. Started at the Sirius Courier. But yeah, the whole town was kind of devastated. And a few blocks from where the old Whitmore School was, um, George Whitmore had a home, and um, the city of Sirius bought the home, and they renovated it back to where it was when George Whitmore lived in it, and um, now it's open for tours and all that, just like the McHenry Mansion in Modesto. Same type of thing. Now, the next story I'm going to talk about is a fatal auto accident, and it was really it really hit hard, and I was just sat down for dinner at home with my parents, and we were having spaghetti and some cheese bread and a couple other things, a salad. My mom always made a good meal, and just sat down, just got a plate full of food, and my scanner went off, and it was a fatal auto accident out on, I think it was Carpenter Road, Westport Fire Department, and I headed out there, grabbed my car, grabbed my gear, and headed out there, and didn't know it was a fatality till I got there, and it was a lady was killed by a guy trying to get away in a stolen car, and hit her head on, and the driver of that car, the criminal, wasn't hurt too bad. And when I got there, I just got there as they were starting to work on the car to get him out. That driver, that hit the lady head on, and so they got her. I got photos of them extricating him and then loading him up in an ambulance, and it was off. Went back to focus on the other car and was talking with the fire chief, and the chief told me they determined when they rolled up on scene that she had already died. She was killed instantly. And I asked him, well, how do you know that, chief? And he goes, come here with me, Mark. And he walked me over to her car, and he took his flashlight out because it was at night, and he shined his flashlight on her body in the car, and showed me some wounds on her arms and other places, and there was no blood coming out of those wounds. And he wanted to make sure I understood that, and I said, yeah, I see there's no blood, so what is that? How does that translate? And she goes, well, if she was killed instantly, her heart would stop, right? And with the heart not pumping, any wounds that occurred after she was killed, no blood would pump out of those wounds because the heart was no longer beating. And I go, well, that makes sense, Chief. Thank you. And got hung around there for a little bit, got some more photos, got all the information I needed that I can give to my editor when I got into the paper in the morning. So I headed back home, and when I got home, my food was all waiting for me, and I told my mom, "Sorry, Mom, I can't eat. It was a bad auto accident." She stopped me right there and said, "I don't want to hear it, son. I don't want to hear about what you saw out there, what you covered, okay? And just need to know if you want to eat or don't want to eat." And I said, "No, Mom, I don't want to eat. I'll figure something out later." And that was yeah, it wasn't my first fatal. I've had I had one or two before that one, or maybe more than one or two. After a while, after years, they all kind of start mixing together. I covered way too many fatal auto accidents as a photojournalist. If I would have to guess and put a number on it, in the time of my whole career as a photojournalist, I have probably covered thousands of auto accidents, and maybe 3 or 4, 5% of those accidents were fatals. So I covered a hell of a lot of fatals during my career. And every paper I worked at, I covered fatalities. And but right now, the stories I'm telling is still at the Series Courier. Oh, I forgot to tell you one thing about that fire. Halfway through my time there on site, taking photos of the firefighters and all that, and the fire in the building, the chief came up to me, tapped me on the shoulder, and he said, "Hey, Mark, we believe there's asbestos materials in this building. So please be careful breathing that smoke, man. Get out of here as soon as you can." And I said, "Wow, okay, Chief, thank you for that heads up." Yeah, that was pretty scary to hear. And how do I stop not breathing the smoke when I need to be on site, on scene, to cover the story? But I sucked in a lot of smoke that night. And most fires I covered, if I was out at the fire for a while, I would suck in so much smoke for days, my lungs would hurt. 2, 3 days after the fire, my lungs were hurting, which can't be good. You know, I put myself through a lot of hell as a photojournalist capturing the shot, you know. But that brings the end of this episode. I do appreciate everyone watching and everyone subscribing and sharing and commenting. Please keep doing that. That's the only way I can keep growing this channel. And I do appreciate everyone's help. And we'll see you next episode. So give us a like, give us a share, give us a comment. And if you're not a subscriber, smash the heck out of that subscribe button and smash the heck out of that bell icon so you can get a notification every time a new episode posts. And I'm sorry I didn't get an episode out last week. It was a lot going on. I had surgery. My gallbladder had a lot of problems, so they had to pull it out. Wasn't feeling too good, and I needed some time to recover. I was trying to get it out, get that episode out, but I wasn't able to, and I really am sorry about that. I really apologize. So don't give up on my channel. Don't give up on me. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next episode. Everyone be safe out there.